Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Swipe up 189. This is the show where I give my opinions on current events despite how much people just cry about my opinions. This is going to be one of those episodes where there's just going to be gun worshipers crying in my comment section. So let's get it started, shall we, with the absolute horrific tragedy that happened in Uvalde, Texas, where a gunman killed 19 children, slaughtered 19 children, in addition to his grandma and a teacher, 21 in total, human beings dead. Which is a horrible tragedy, which is something that the laws of Texas enabled this shooter. All of the guns were purchased legally because Texas loves to arm people. And for all the gun lovers out there, the people that worship the Second Amendment, that truly value guns over human lives, that regurgitate NRA propaganda nonstop, oh, all you need to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Well, looks like all of the people whose job it is to serve and protect the police department did nothing. You want to talk about a group of people to actively aid the shooter. They helped the shooter in every single possible way short of pulling the trigger themselves. They gave the shooter an hour to do his slaughtering. They locked the shooter in with the children. They let the shooter in to begin with, but did nothing to stop it, actively keeping parents from intervening, arresting parents, throwing parents to the ground, putting them in handcuffs because they did not want the parents to go and save their kids. Meanwhile, the police had no problem going in and saving their own children, but didn't care one iota about all of the other children that were needlessly slaughtered. The police did nothing. And conservatives scrambling to come up with an excuse. It's all about the doors. Oh, if we had less doors, this wouldn't have happened. Meanwhile, the NRA is having their little convention right next door to where this tragedy happened, as the NRA does. They love to do their little conventions right by places of tragedy. Got to keep those gun sales up. They love their guns in Texas. Disgusting people. Ted Cruz, disgusting. You want to talk about people that should be dead? All of these people who make excuses for guns should not be alive. We should trade all of those people for the lives of those children that were slain, because people clearly value guns over human life. Just disgusting. I've been flamethrowing Instagram. All these right-wing gun nuts, Second Amendment worshipers, making every excuse, blaming the teachers, protecting, standing up for the police who did nothing, and blaming the teacher who's dead. Disgusting humans. Clearly value guns over human life. There is no reason for a human to have an assault rifle. You want personal protection because you're so paranoid and scared of criminals? Oh, you take the guns away and only the criminal's going to have them. Why do we keep making guns? They don't go bad. There's not an expiration date on a gun, but they still keep manufacturing them. Why? Why do we have so many guns in this country? It's guns. More guns don't make this country safer. If they did, we would be the safest country in the fucking globe. We have more guns per capita than anywhere on the planet, and this shit happens daily. You want your protection from the criminals? Okay, you get a handgun maybe. Get a shotgun maybe. Oh, you want to go hunting? Get your little bolt-action rifle. Okay. But you don't need assault rifles. What are you going to do? You're going to take on the U.S. government with your assault rifles? You think that scares them? The police had assault rifles. They didn't do shit. They didn't do shit. Every one of those police officers should be, and everybody in charge of that police department should be put in jail. They contributed to the slaughter of those children. They did everything possible to aid that shooter. That shooter had help, and that help was wearing badges that day. Fucking disgusting. Every person who comes up with any excuse other than we need to get rid of these guns. There's so many things that need to be done that could easily be done to mitigate this, to help prevent this. But they worship their guns more than they care about human life. They're willing to let children die regularly instead of giving up their precious little toys. Fucking disgusting. Fuck the police. Fuck gun owners. If you're watching this and you're crying, oh, they're going to take my guns away. Good. Fuck you. Fuck you. Guns don't kill people. Kill people. Kill people. Guns are specifically designed to end life, you fuck. What do you think guns are used for? Why do we have these tools of death? Why do you worship these tools of death? My guns pry out of my cold dead hands. I would love it if all gun owners today would just blow the back of their brains out. Just kill yourself, which is the most popular use for a gun, by the way. If only it was 100%, we would live in a better country. If all these people who worship guns were taken out, removed from society, we would have a better society without you gun worshipers. Leave your crying in the comments. Oh, you're wrong. You're wrong, libtard. You didn't take my guns. They're not going to take my guns. I love my guns. Shut the fuck up. Let's move on. Coming soon, a new podcast from The Ray Taylor Show, the unofficial Severance recap podcast. Mark leads a team of office workers whose memories have been surgically divided between their work and personal lives. When a mysterious colleague appears outside of work, it begins a journey to discover the truth about their jobs. Join Ray Taylor as he breaks down every episode of Season 1 of the new Apple TV show, Severance. First episode released June 7th. New episodes released every Tuesday. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and YouTube. Go to inspireddisorder.com for links. Let's move on to something that shouldn't be surprising. Writer of How to Murder Your Husband, convicted of murdering her husband. I didn't read much of this. An author who once wrote an essay titled How to Murder Your Husband was convicted of murdering her husband. It's weird. She should have gotten away with the murder first and then written the book, kind of following the O.J. Simpson release schedule of trying to profit off of your murder, although I don't think he was able to profit off of that book, which is just disgusting that he wrote the book anyway, but not surprising that somebody who wrote an essay on it actually killed her husband. Hopefully he was a gun owner. One less gun owner on the streets. But yeah, I guess I'll read this. An author who once wrote an essay titled How to Murder Your Husband was convicted of murdering her husband. Romance novelist Nancy Crampton Brophy was found guilty of second-degree murder on May 25th. Her husband, Chef Daniel Brophy, was shot in 2018 while at work. Wow, 2018. Took 4 years. According to court, maybe she did write it after. According to court exhibit, Crampton Brophy owned the same make and model of the gun used. Of course, this is what guns are used for, to murder. That's why you own a gun, because you want to murder somebody. You say it's self-defense, but you just have that bloodthirst for murder, and you're prepared for murder. It's what you want. You want an excuse to murder somebody. It's why you have a gun. Protecting guns. Guns are the best thing ever. Oh, it's mental health. People who own guns, like, you have to be mentally ill to own a gun, I think. So it's like a catch-22. The desire to own a gun is presence of mental health issues. So you should not be able to own a gun. Because you're purchasing a gun with the intent of murdering somebody. You just have the reasoning for murder. You find justifiable. And it's weird that a lot of these gun owners are also like Christians. Like, apparently they don't care that God is against murder, but they don't have problems owning tools that are specifically designed to end life. According to court exhibit, can't be blah, 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 same model gun. While on the stand, she testified that she bought a gun and a ghost gun kit as part of a research for her book. What I can tell you is it was for writing. She said, it was not, as you would believe, to murder my husband. Campion Boy's sentencing is scheduled for June 13th, where she faces a minimum of 25 years in prison. Her legal defense team said they plan to appeal. Whatever. Guns. Guns. Let's move on. Gremlins, The Secret of the Mogwai is a show that is coming to HBO Max, coming soon. A franchise of movies that I recently, probably about a year ago, revisited for it's been a very long time. Movies that I grew up loving. I love the Gremlins movies. However, revisiting them, a little problematic. Pretty racist, the movies. It's very anti-China, which I'm sure probably is, one of Donald Trump's favorite movies, because it's a movie that blames all these gremlins are the reason why products from China are horrible, and depict kind of like horrible Asian stereotypes in some ways. But this one turning it on its head, it seems, because the cast is all Asian, and I'm sure it's going to be handled, probably renewing the franchise and changing it into something that can be a positive thing, which I'm hopeful for. I will check it out. It's probably for kids, which is good. It's animated. Voice actors, like it's got B.D. Wong and James Hong, which are great Asian actors. And I'll probably check it out when it comes out, but I don't know. I don't like the animation style. It looks very much like it's made for kids, so I don't know. I probably won't watch it, but it's interesting that they're bringing it back and changing it in a way to make it more of a positive spin. And now a quick word from our sponsor. Now you can wear the many faces. Original art by Ray Taylor. Select pieces from the ongoing series of abstract ink paintings. All products made with high quality materials, made right here in the USA. Go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF merch to browse the entire collection and save yourself an extra 10% when you check out by using coupon code RTSTMF. So once again, go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF merch and save 10% when you use coupon code RTSTMF. And now, back to our show. Let's move on to the last story. New York City removes last public payphone. The city's last payphone was located in Times Square. Kind of an end of an era. I remember back in the day having a pager, and you would get a call, like you'd be out. I remember out shopping at Best Buy and getting a page from my girlfriend and having to have change on hand and finding a payphone and then calling the number on my pager. Crazy times, pre-cell phones. Cell phones were around, but nobody really could afford them yet. So the pager life was the thing, and payphones in general, kind of a crazy thing. I also remember going as a kid. There was an airport near my house, like a small airport, and my friend and I, we would walk through the desert to the airport because they had some vending machines. We'd put our change in, and we'd get some candy and stuff out of the vending machines. And then around like the early puberty times, where you're finding porn in the forests and things like that, we would go to the payphone outside of this airport, and we would dial the sex line numbers. And we could just to listen to the menu, because we couldn't afford to actually pay for the sex things, to do the 976. I forget what the sex line number. That was a big thing. But we would go, which is so weird. Like, you have these like 13-year-old kids at a payphone outside of an airport calling sex line numbers to listen to, like, getting all horny listening to the menu screen. But yeah, kind of crazy that payphones are still around. I mean, I guess, like, what do they replace payphone? They must, like, do they have, like, Wi-Fi spots and stuff like that? I mean, everybody has a cell phone. Does everybody have a cell phone? I guess you can. You can get a cheap cell phone. But yeah, end of an era, kind of crazy. 2022. It's always weird seeing a payphone out in the world. I can't remember the last. Like, pretty much all you see are the areas where payphones used to be. You can kind of see, like, oh, like there's a blank spot on a wall where one was mounted or something like that. And yeah, kind of crazy. RIP payphones, at least in New York. I wonder how many payphones there are in the United States. Probably not a lot. But and probably like in the small, like, rural towns, maybe. Even like the payphone, like with the phone booth, was a weird thing. And that was a phone booth that was outside. I don't think it had a door on it, though. The phone booth outside of the airport. I don't think it did. And it may not have been a booth. Maybe it's a long time ago. But anyway, RIP payphones. RIP all the children that were slaughtered needlessly, thanks to the police helping the shooter out quite a bit, doing a lot of beneficial things for the shooter to slaughter the children. But let's do some shout-outs and get out of here, shall we? Shout-out to Vice News. Shout-out Now This News. Shout-out HBO Max. And shout-out ABC News. But most importantly, shout-out to you. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at InspiredDisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at InspiredDisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.